You hitting go live or am I?
I did.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of A Created Economy. We're kind of flipping the script here because Greg's off at school, basic training for Techstars for Zealous. So I'm in charge. Consider this a coup d'etat of sorts. So I will be guiding today's episode. So again, welcome to Created Economy. It's a weekly interview series that Greg and I host every Wednesday. It's where we interview key voices and players in the creator economy at large, and we discuss key topics impacting the growth of the creator economy. We go live on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. And you know what, Greg? Just because this is first time on job, I totally forgot to do the deck. You know, it's literally
see how hard it is? It's not as easy as it looks.
I know. Today is January 26th, 2022.
Oh, congrats. At least you have audio today.
I'm sorry?
At least you have audio, so you're stepping up your game by 50%.
This is also true. I double checked to make sure I wasn't on mute, so you can actually hear me instead of like.
Oh, hey, what's that fancy new mic you got there, Ken?
I know, it literally got set up like last minute. I got this.
I haven't been to my house for a day. I'm wondering if all my shit is actually still at my apartment.
Well, secretly, this is green screen. I'm actually in your studio in your house in Denver. Rex is going to roll in a little bit later on.
And, Rex is going to be there soon. Yeah. All right.
Anyway, so we do 3 shows every week. Our Tuesdays at 10 a.m. is Greg and his co-host put together Created Work, which is basically around innovations and building in the Web3 space, which is very relevant to today's guest. And then, of course, Wednesdays is our flagship show, Created Economy. And on Fridays, join us at 8 a.m. Pacific for Created Briefs, which is our news show where we recap everything that's happening in the creator economy. Lots of great stuff that we go through, assuming that I can not have technical issues this week. So be sure to follow us on Twitter, on social media, everywhere at Created Economy. We are Created Economy on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and I curate all the news on Flipboard. So, all right. And hello to Victor. Victor is joining us on YouTube. How's it going? Greg, so we are still doing the AMA drop. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh, yeah. So if you have been a fan of the show for some time now, you know that the AMA is the official coin of the created economy. We actually have a new branding coming out for it soon, so we'll get to that as soon as we finalize it. But we do a drop every week, basically, and it's an opportunity to reward our audience and our fans and our supporters, basically, with a little bit of crypto of their own. So if you scan that QR code or head over to that URL, you can grab one more this week. And little by little, if you've been doing this is week 18, so you already would have like $20 worth of, well, more than 20, but worth of free crypto at this point if you've been playing along every week.
Woohoo! All right. And we also have a Slack channel, Slack channel. If you want to join and chat with Greg and I and other founders that are in the creator economy space, feel free to join us at bit.ly/created-slack or scan that QR code there. A lot of great conversations that we have there with founders or enthusiasts or builders. And we if you want to be a guest on the show, feel free to join in and chat with us there. All right. Now, let's move into today's guest. So actually, one of our guests doesn't need any real introduction because he's been on our show many, many times. He's actually the co-host on Greg's Tuesday show, Created Works. Abhinav Gaur, he's the co-founder of URFeed, and we will have and joining him is his co-founder and also the CEO of URFeed, Gareth Ingham. I do hope I pronounced that correctly. And without further ado, why don't we bring them on? Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Hello.
Very well. Thanks for having us on.
No worries. So why don't we kind of get started in terms of like, what is URFeed? Like, what is that about? Abhinav, as much as we've had you on the show and you really enjoyed your conversations about the creator economy and Web3, I don't think I've ever really heard the story of how the company got started. So would you mind?
Well, we were saving it for this episode. It wasn't because we weren't interested.
So yeah, well, I'll probably take that. So in terms of how we got started and to kind of get in what URFeed is, how we got started. Kind of my background is very much in kind of online social kind of community platforms. I was involved in a kind of community platform in the early noughties called don'tstayIn.com, which built communities around clubbing, and we grew that platform by kind of getting your guest list into any club in the world, sending you a spotter card and asking you to take photos of people in the club. So before Facebook, really early on, but very what's quite interesting is some of the kind of anonymity aspects that have kind of come back around were very prevalent at that time. No one used a real name on the platform. Everyone kind of had a pseudonym because you were doing things at the weekend in clubs. And then from that, I started working with music artists to kind of grow their social communities. Obviously, music artists were really early into the space alongside gamers. Now kind of banks and everyone in between have got their own kind of social profiles. But in the early kind of, when I was very much involved with it at that stage, it was music artists and kind of promoters were very much kind of at the forefront of some of the things that were doing in the communities and the way that they were using kind of social groups to kind of drive and create content. So I had a specialist agency. I was growing, I kind of after leaving Don't Stay In, kind of growing communities for artists. And then really from that saw kind of a big avid user of online communities ourselves and saw kind of some of the pain points that artists were having in terms of not generating revenue on the platform and not having a kind of a larger share of that revenue. So YouTube had the partnership program and we're looking at different areas for that. So we started to create, with the kind of birth of streaming music, we created a social community platform that created a layer across the kind of streaming platforms where you could create crowds, and each crowd would pull in the music that people listen to within it, and then they would have a real-time music chart based around. So every single crowd basically would have its own real-time music chart. So we were constantly looking at different ways for communities. Sadly, that business, for different reasons, didn't go forward. But as a team, we really kind of are still massive users of communities, platforms, and just really saw that they could be done better. And we're constantly looking at different ways to kind of do that. For us, in terms of the way that we're on video now, with the birth and how powerful video was becoming, and especially a lot of the tech kind of catching up with that in terms of what we were able to do as a small team in terms of kind of creating a video platform, we really saw that, video could be used in the community space. It would be brilliantly used in the social space to kind of give people more access, create better content, and bring people together. But could it be used in a community format to bring people together? When you meet someone for the first time, you jump on a Zoom call to kind of talk to them. When everyone was kind of not with each other and kind of in lockdown during COVID, everyone was getting on FaceTime to talk to each other. So I think everyone completely understands the power of video to connect people. And we wanted to use that to kind of bring new people together in a community format. We think that video can kind of connect. So we connect people in that way. And then the kind of Web3 aspect for us was, again, about that connection. I think in terms of that trust, that there's a lot of bots kind of scamming text. It's hard to build a trustful relationship with new people via text. So video enables that. And then how can we kind of use that to kind of give ownership in terms of giving more trust to the platform and giving people control of the platform, giving them some of the value that they're creating, giving them some of that value back to them, to give them more trust in what we're doing. And then using video to really kind of bring people together and create a deeper connection that you can ever create with text. So basically, in essence, that's where we've got to with URFeed. It is a Web3 enabled community platform. We are video first, so we believe that video is a great way to kind of connect people, and we really want to be an extension as much as we can of real world connections, but in a digital space. So I think that's, for us, the power of community and connection. And I think it just got magnified really during COVID. I think you kind of realize how important it is to meet people, how important connection is. And then obviously kind of talking to people face to face. So yeah, that's kind of like where we came from as a team. Me, Abhinav, and my brother are the founders of the business. And then some of the wider team, my brother was a product owner at the last business and then was kind of working on digital identity for Barclays. which is a great kind of crossover in terms of where we are. And then some of the wider guys that are developers and involved in the team were all involved in the last business. So I think it's a problem that we've been collectively trying to solve and work on and better. For quite a while, and Abs has come and brought in his own magic into the team.
So can you walk us through, like, what is that experience like using the app, right? Because I think there's a couple of things that I like to dive a little deeper into, and just what I have on the screen now is the URFeed homepage. So when you talk about like social versus community, right? I mean, there's and I think at some point, Abhinav, you and I have talked about how you've described it, Abhinav, to me, is that it's it's Snapchat meets Discord type of thing. So how is that an apt analogy for what your feed is? And then how do you distinguish it between, Gareth, you talked about community a lot. You kind of didn't say like, this is a social platform or a social app like a YouTube or anything like that. It's more about community. How does that all work out, and what is that experience like for the user?
Yeah. So within the platform, and this was like a journey that we kind of went on a little bit through the development of the platform as well. It's closed islands, closed communities within the platform. Though those, you can only find them from being invited to them. You can gate them as well through kind of pay gating or NFT or token gating. And then within those communities, the conversations, there's kind of 3 areas where content is created. The kind of main area for the users, there are different topic threads that are then, and it's video messaging. And then we have a video commenting system as well. So I think when I talk about community, I don't see your feed as not for the creator, or the community owner. We do have like a live broadcast where they can kind of cut like broadcast, which is like an interactive story format. And we also have kind of a live feature, so you can cut above it. So for the creator, it's slightly different, but for the actual kind of member of a community, it is story format, it's video messaging. And for me, the difference is you come to your feed to talk to other people. It's many to many rather than you're coming to participate, you're coming. And I think for us, the format was, most communities are built around this 1-9-90 rule, where 1% of people kind of own it, create that content, 9% of people comment on that content, and 90% view it. And what we wanted to do was give the 9% an enriched format. On Twitch or YouTube, you've made a video, everyone else just gets text. Well, we wanted to give the text commenters that are really the lifeblood of any community, we wanted to give them the same format and engage them and allow people to meet and actually connect. I think that connection, I think that's the goal for us, where we're trying to say that when I talk about community, we're trying to bring people together. We see that as a really powerful, and we don't think that community spaces do that well enough. I think the platform that I worked for many moons ago, Don't Stay In, was very much around real world events, clubbing events that you've been to, and then it was an extension of that experience online, and you made real friends. And I think what's ended up happening, because of the ad format and the driver towards advertising, that these social platforms have ended up, and community platforms end up being kind of advertising networks disguised as, they give you enough social features to get as much data as they possibly can to serve stuff to you. They're not that you are not the user that they're caring about. Their customer is the advertiser, not the user. So we want to create a platform that actually creates new friendships. And I think for me, the analogy that I always use, if you go to a bar and someone comes up and speaks to you in some pub, it'd be a bit weird. But if you go and see a really cool niche band that you love and someone talks to you, it's a different mindset, because you just think, this is one of my people and I want to talk to them. And I think that we're creating these niche closed communities and enabling people to meet and connect. And I think for me, that is the goal of that connection. So that's what I say about community. You're not coming here to post content for people to watch. It's you're coming here to talk to other people.
So let me ask a question, I guess, which is a challenge, I guess, right? Creating a new format is often hard, right? Like, it's hard to get like adoption. And so I think like the 110, 90, 19, whatever, that sort of dynamic, I think, exists because of the inherent laziness in people, right? And so I'm just curious, like, how do you see overcoming, I guess, that challenge, right? Because I feel like if we look at the odds of it succeeding would seem low, right? Because like that math is hardened, like proven out by, you know, billions of people interacting on social platforms, right?
Yeah, well,
and just to add to that, though, I think just adding another layer of nuance is video. I feel adds another layer of shyness maybe to the mix, right? Like, because the premise that you're describing sounds absolutely fabulous, right? Like, it sounds like exactly like what I do believe is lacking and missing, and what like social media robbed us of was intimacy, right? Like, it's sort of like it gave us like transparency, but it took away all the intimacy that usually is afforded by not having to do everything in public, right? So I'm kind of curious, just like how you, not that you can't do it, I guess I'm just curious how you imagine, like, what are the steps to broaching or bridging that sort of that challenge.
So yeah, so I think there's obviously, I think web, the kind of the ownership aspect around the way we are. So what we've done with our business, we're tokenizing the kind of ownership of the business, and then we've built an inbuilt distribution of that token. So the more you use the platform, the more you become an owner. So that is a powerful thing. Obviously, video connects you. But I always kind of say, like, the worst breakups I've ever been through in my life aren't with women, they're with business partners. So having economic alignment and connecting with people with a shared goal is extremely powerful. So we've already kind of started to see that. I think it's very much around small pockets of conversation. I think even during testing, I've been in a WhatsApp group with friends for a stag group for like 3 years, and even pulling that stag group into our platform. And during lockdown,
Gareth, real quick, for the folks who don't speak British, can you tell everyone what a stag group is?
What do you call a bachelor party? Yeah, bachelor. Yeah. So, but yeah, and WhatsApp can give you
not
like
to be confused with a hen party.
No. But I think WhatsApp can give you that a kind of full sense of staying in contact with people, because I'm in this group and no one's actually messaging each other individually in the wider group, and you kind of think, and then when we all got thrown into kind of your feed, everyone's on video and it's in a closed group, you haven't got that fear because just your 20 odd friends that you've kind of known for a long time, and then I think that kind of expanding out into kind of community, into kind of the more niche communities that we've been testing it with, it works really well. And then it goes to the point of the 90% I've got lots to watch. And I do think there's a whole thing around quality over quantity. I don't think I'm in a lot of Discord communities where I think some people should be encouraged to kind of talk less, because there's a hell of a lot of noise. So yeah, but at the same time, we are looking at, we brought audio in. We're currently developing kind of the way people can have their own kind of avatar within the platform. So obviously we understand, and different ways around how text could potentially be brought in. But I think ultimately we're trying to connect people. But at the same time, once you're in that community and you've got this trusted space, we don't want to kind of hinder you being able to communicate at the same time. So we understand that. But yeah.
A new wrinkle I've discovered, because I didn't realize how important this was before we were building Web3 stuff, is sort of this state of pseudo anonymity that a lot of people are sort of aspiring for now, right? And so, you know, if you look at like how where Discord makes its money, I would argue probably is significantly from people wanting to be able to represent themselves differently in different servers, right? Like, so you like when you buy Nitro or whatever the thing's called, you pay $5 a month, so you could basically like have this picture over here and that picture over there, right? And
absolutely, yeah. Well, I can really see it with kind of Don't Stay In. Like, everyone had their own, and this was 15, kind of 18 years ago. But everyone, because it was a clubbing thing, you're a lawyer in the week, and you're kind of a techno fiend on a Friday and Saturday. So you kind of you've got a completely different name, So very much, and I think that gaming space is kind of, that's always kind of been there. So that makes a lot of sense. And obviously, if you've got a load of money in a wallet that you kind of don't want everyone to know about as well, that you can kind of see how, if you start bringing your bank balances public and you don't really want that to be linked to your public face because someone might smack you around the head with a bat and kind of force you to give you some of it. So I think there's loads of different fears that all play into that. Yeah. But I think ultimately having that kind of, I always think about fancy dress parties when you go to like your clothes say a lot about you, and if you go to a fancy dress party, you end up talking to some people that you might not have ever spoken to if they were just in their normal clothes, because everyone's kind of got that kind of cloak taken away from them. And I think there's a lot of power in that. So we've been looking at different things around, not just, we laughed about it earlier before we came on there, but everyone just looking the same, like a V for Vendetta mask, and just kind of how could we do that?
I was actually, that was kind of where I was kind of going was, do you imagine people solving for pseudo anonymity sort of in a video oriented environment, like through like costume, or like, are you trying to approach that problem kind of like from a tech point of view, like AR lenses, or, you know, things like Snapchat kind of is doing to?
Yeah, so I think both. I think we're kind of obviously I've got a young daughter, and so I understand the power of kind of the Snapchat kind of lenses and filters they are. So I think having fun with other people is part of community. I think that bonds you to people. Having a shared something that you do with each other is powerful. So I don't think we kind of want it to be all serious conversation all the time. I think there's many ways that different groups connect. So I think we're exploring loads of exciting, I think, different ways to connect. But yeah, we definitely think avatars are going to play, and giving people the ability to be whoever they want to be, is going to play a big part of the platform.
Yeah, so it's like I was just going to say, I think it's kind of like, it's having a verification that you are the person who the wallet represents without being doxxed, right? It's not being doxxed, but being able to prove that this is who I am, who you see on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, and that leads me to I guess two questions. One thing that Gareth, you mentioned, a little cheeky, but with the avatars, are you supporting hexagon or are we doing circle avatars? Like, which one are we embracing here? Because, you know, if you're not doing hexagon, you're not truly Web3 apparently. But I guess the more serious question, and Abhinav, you touched on it a little just now, is, while I think it's like, on one hand, if you're doing video first, and Gareth, you're right, it's like there are some people that probably shouldn't be talking as much on, you know, Discord or Slack. I'm guilty of being one of them at some point. But
I have my moments.
Yeah, we're all guilty of it, including Greg. But I think if you look at I think there's that little bit of a nice barrier in a way. Like, if you're going to do video, you are forcing someone to come up with something constructive, as opposed to like, do I necessarily need to put together a video of me just like putting out snark? Because then you kind of put a little bit more attention on you, and people who want to be snarky, like, no, I'm just gonna not do this, participate. But also from a privacy and safety perspective as well, that's something to consider. Yeah,
and what's been really interesting is feedback from kind of women, kind of people that have quite a voice. It is quite that you don't get that shouting down that some of the keyboard warriors that you kind of get within a text-based environment. We ran kind of an online conference on the platform while we were testing, called Firestarters, and we had some female sports stars coming on and doing some interviews, being questioned by the community. And the feedback we got from them was incredible, because they were saying that when they do some of those lives on Instagram, some of the stuff that comes up in the comments, it ends up being a really awful experience for them. And we don't really have, we haven't had any kind of aspect of kind of, people are a lot less likely to be kind of racist, homophobic on camera. But also as well, the nuanced arguments and discussions, some of the things that we've had, stuff doesn't get lost in translation as much. And obviously video is not the solution to all problems, and you're still going to get those things when you get massive amounts of users on the internet. But I definitely think that seeing someone's face, having discussions, it is a game changer in terms of that connection, and that connection to bring you closer to people that are more similar to you, but also then to kind of hear out people that aren't. And I think what's one of the biggest problems that's happened over the last few years is this kind of polarization of people. And I think half of the time when you're kind of in these forums or on different stuff, is you're unable to really see that what's behind it. And I think if you could actually see the fact that it's some 15-year-old kid or 13-year-old kid winding you up, you'd probably be a little bit more. So I think that some of those things are, video kind of helps. And I think that connection can work on many different levels.
And is winding up a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it depends on how wound up you can. Like, like winding up, it's like, okay, but then there's gaslighting where you're like, no.
So you guys actually mentioned something that I thought was really interesting. And I know Abhinav, I've seen the draft of the white paper, looking to sort of tokenize some more of this. And I do think, the sort of mantra in Web3 about we're all going to make it. Well, like, what is the it, right? And I think you're trying to put some color now onto that. And I actually do think that there's this fascinating and very thin line though between like gamification versus like like true relationship building, right? Like, so I'm curious, can you share a little bit more about sort of what your thoughts now and sort of like not the Web3 part, or Web3 I guess in general, but more specifically I guess like how you think tokenizing sort of brings the community together in new and interesting ways.
Yeah, so I think for us, like, we're calling kind of that white paper and kind of the kind of tokenization that we're doing, in that we all win together. And I think ultimately the community, we see the real kind of gold in that going forward, as in collective.
Yeah, just quick, is the acronym WAT?
Yeah.
We're keeping that.
Yeah, my mate said that. But I think that I see the real gold in kind of that community, that collectively coming together to achieve goals and purposes, I think is extremely powerful. So we think having that collectively on the platform, and the whole community feeling and being a part of a cause together, and then having micro elements around that, we definitely see that being really powerful. That owning the token will also give you a degree of control over the governance. That our business model is built around, obviously we said, around subscriptions, but obviously video opens up some really interesting elements for us in terms of kind of filters, as you discussed, and lots of different revenue streams in the future. And 10% of all the money created on the platform will go into that community treasury. And then we want to kind of, as a collective movement of members, what we use that money for to make sure the lives of everyone that uses the platform and the communities and the kind of planet in which they live in improves. We think we think that kind of collective way that it pulls you together is kind of transformative in terms of. It reminds me a lot of the Web3 stuff was very much when a lot of the thoughts that I had of what social platforms would do when I got involved in that, and kind of the early noughties and then what ended up happening wasn't exactly where I thought it was going to go. And I think that degree of control and how it can share out, I think that there's an amazing power in that, and the whole ecosystem in general, I think is exciting. So for us, in terms of, we see that sharing kind of to do good things together. And so, yeah, I think that's where we see the real gold in it, in that it's not just about me trying to kind of make money. It's more kind of, I'm part of a movement to kind of do something with other people. And I think that in itself is a connection and quite powerful.
So on that front, I mean, one thing that URFeed has, I mean, I guess is common for any company that's doing Web3, is you have your own token, right? I think we've had guests on our show who have like Tony Placencia, who was on last week, had from Diffusion, has his own token. Other ones that have joined us have similar tokens. Greg, we are on our show. We have AMA. Greg Zealous app will likely have its own token. Can you walk us through the thinking, the strategy, and the implementation of the URFeed token, which is called, I think it's hilarious, I'm just going to pronounce it this way, URF. Like, I'm just going to call it URF. Like, I don't know how you're pronouncing it. You're just spelling the letters, but I'm just calling it URF just because that's hilarious.
I'll tell you where that came from. Obviously, with the dollar at the start, it's because of the dollar symbol. It's like surf, and obviously the Solana beach. So it's like we're kind of launching our token on Solana. So it's like surf on Solana. So that's kind of like the little kind of kind of joke, I think, that we thought was funny when we were doing it, but maybe
see, I didn't know because it's like in Europe, okay, dollar sign agent. Like, what? How did I don't get that? But also, fun point, and I'll get to you in a second, Greg. But the Solana, I would like to hear more about that Solana. While other people have gone with Ethereum, like, why is the big bet on Solana as well? But Greg, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, some currency denominations are listed on the end also, so you'd be URFs.
Yeah.
As Europeans, I expect you would understand this.
Can you just add in? Could you just add an M so you can call it Smurf?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Token symbols aside, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Solana is, by the way, today was news. We'll probably talk about Friday. Is going to be part on OpenSea soon. Also,
yeah. And they also just announced today that
Rowley's
is doing a kind of an integration with them, which is
all of the AMA coin is actually going to be on Solana also.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah, I think.
Why did you bet big on Solana then? To create. Well, again, what was the inception?
Yeah, so I think there's we kind of see there's kind of two kind of big. We want to pull more people into kind of the Web3 crypto space. I think we've taken two kind of big decisions around even the platform, how we onboard people. So we have this token distribution model for as you do things on the platform, as you use the platform, you earn tokens for doing so. A bit like at the beginning of the show where you're saying kind of take a snapshot of the because you've watched it today, you're going to earn a token. Some similar kind of dynamics like that. But then obviously on Solana, it enables the gas fees are just they are usable for mass adoption. Whereas and the speed of it as well. At the beginning, we have certain aspects of the platform that are going to be on chain, and we're going to kind of move more and more of them on. But one of the decisions that we've made in terms of, I think, kind of onboarding into kind of the kind of crypto Web3 space, it can be quite technical. So what we've got is a very simple onboarding into our platform. You earn the tokens natively in our own kind of not too dissimilar to like a URFeed coin, as if the coins that you would earn in any kind of computer game on a mobile. And then once you've got enough coins, you can then exchange those coins for tokens on chain. And so for us, we kind of saw it as like the carrot or the stick. We could have the stick at the beginning. As soon as you kind of join the platform, we're going to smack you around the head until you kind of do this intense technical sign up. Or we can let you use the platform, see the joy of it. And then once you've got enough tokens, enough coins to exchange for tokens, there's a big carrot and a big reason to kind of to go through that process, and you've had a little bit of education. So I think for us, those were the kind of, we wanted to onboard as many people from the mainstream into kind of crypto and the Web3, and Solana, plus some of the tools that we're building, like I said, with that kind of more simple onboarding, allow us to do it in terms of speed. I think, yeah, it's quite inhibitive. Some of the kind of, Ethereum and etc. in terms of for mainstream adoption. Just even when we were having kind of doing stuff with the team, trying to send someone an NFT that Abs owned for free, it was going to cost him £150 just to try and show the team how to use it. I'm
literally trying to stand up a DAO on Aragon right now, and currently the gas is 0.823. The gas, right? So it's $2,000. It's $2,000. I'm just watching it like here to go down. But
it is.
You know, I think it's interesting what you're saying. By the way, just as a maybe a thought starter here, one of the things that we're looking to do at Zealous, because I think we're in the similar situation with what you're considering, is what we're thinking about doing is using Magic Link because it provides us with, it lets us have a wallet for everyone right away, and we can actually then use it to drop coin. Like we can still basically behind the scenes, you can use Web3 even though people don't know that they have a wallet. And if they want to mask to another, connect another wallet, then you can start sending to the other place. But it would support Solana as well. And then you could just literally I don't necessarily love Magic Link, but I only like it because it offers this sort of wallet connectivity behind the scenes. And it lets us default to having a wallet that's
I really like that.
Then lets us eliminate sort of this meta layer on top of a virtual currency that we then have to bridge out to token.
But I think for me, the kind of a lot of the terms that we use, we're constantly thinking the average user doesn't really kind of care about what we're calling it NFT. That I've got a problem, and does your platform solve it? It's a bit like the bank has probably got a different name for a $10 note in your hand, and that $10 in their computer system. But for you as a user, it's just $10. It's irrelevant for what the kind of technical term that the bank call it.
Sure, but I guess the reason I bring it up is just that it actually is easier for the user because they don't have to think about the two kinds of currency then, right? They literally have the one coin from the beginning, regardless of knowing that they don't even have to know they have a wallet, actually, right?
No, I think we've So, but what I'm saying is, we've kind of created a little bit of that without them knowing it. I'm just kind of explaining it. But the user coming in,
there's no winning solution here yet, right? Like everyone's trying to figure it out.
Exactly. And I think that's some of the bits to where we're thinking around, even our thoughts around NFTs and different bits. I think it is very technical. I think it moves at a pace, and I think we're constantly just trying to think of how can we simplify it with each other, with the stuff that we send out, and then how can we make this more simple for the users.
Just curious where you guys are then. Where do you think Facebook will do its NFTs, or Instagram will do its NFTs, or who doesn't have NFTs announced this week? Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube have all said they're going to have NFTs on platform. Like, what are we betting on here? Is it Polygon or is it Solana or something else?
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows in terms of something else?
Facebook, they make up their own, right? Like, for all we know.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, with those with this kind of larger, because they're kind of at odds with a lot of the kind of community kind of building and that kind of shared ownership. I think it's interesting about how that works. I think for us, we kind of want to be that kind of home that helps people to connect, and we don't really care. Look, we're going to bring in some ability for NFTs to kind of be created on the platform, but we've just got that gating, so we're not really care. We kind of want you to win, however which way you're doing that. We want you to kind of, I think that's very much the kind of mantra within. It's not kind of that, no, you've done that over there. They're a bit like that Jerry Maguire one. I can't sign that card because it's not. I don't sponsor that card. It's that kind of old kind of thinking. I don't think it's going to work. So, and that's the thinking that those kind of more centralized companies have. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that works. It was very much like when I used to go into big companies with social media, where big kind of media companies, social media was a way forward for them, but they had so many internal powerhouses within their business that were going to fight against that move because it was going to be at the detriment of their department. So as much as there might be a few figureheads from these big companies shouting about what they want to do, they've still got thousands of people that would potentially lose their jobs if they started moving drastically in a way that kind of, so it'd be interesting to see how some of those work. But I think for us, we just see that as a really exciting space. The more kind of digitalized it gets, the more exciting I think the whole space gets. So that adoption, as much as the Facebook announcement around Meta, it did a lot for a kind of mainstream adoption. A kind of over Christmas, it made it slightly easier for me to explain what I'm doing to family because they had heard about that. So it's that type of thing.
So in terms of, can you give us an update in terms of how your feed is doing right now? Like, one, how much has your company raised, if any? How many users, and like the overall traction? Are you happy with the way it's going, and what is the next steps for the, like, what can we expect in
what's your wallet address?
So we
connect here.
We've been developing the platform now really for like the last kind of year, just over a year. We've had over 5,500 users kind of through that process that have been on the app. We've now just got a couple of communities that were just kind of we've just done a big update that kind of went live about 10 days ago, just kind of bug testing a lot of that with kind of two kind of stalwart, and now we're opening up a wait list on our platform. We've kind of got the dynamics of it there built on the platform now, but we haven't started to shout about it. So for us, we're going to kind of be pushing that wait list, and that wait list enables people, anyone that joins it, they're able to kind of invite friends and start earning kind of some tokens in the platform just before they even come on. That would be kind of in their wallet and on their profile as they come in. And then for us, we're very much focusing on a kind of crypto communities at the beginning, because we've seen some really we think through the kind of conversations that we've been having, we solved some great problems that they're having at the moment in terms of some of the kind of platforms around Discord and some of the other platforms that they're using. So we've had some great feedback in terms of the features that we've got and what they like. So with those communities, we're kind of onboarding those. And then I think we've got some really kind of exciting spaces. We've got a great, obviously my background is very much around music. So we've got some really exciting kind of music artists and kind of more video-based creators. We've got some kind of great partnerships that we're setting up to kind of push those in. But I think for us, it's like we don't want to go too fast too quickly. And even that's the advice that we give to kind of the communities in the platform. The way I kind of think about a community, it's like having a house party. You want everyone to be staggered when they turn up. You don't want your 50 guests to turn up at once, because it'd be a terrible experience. And that's pretty similar to the way we want to build it. Yes, we want to build up a wait list and then slowly build those people in a way that we can give them the best experience possible. At the minute, we've raised around 250,000 British pounds, and we have a very small team, and we are. So we don't have the ability to go too quick. So we're just about to kind of open up a round at the moment, and then as we kind of secure that and start to have a little bit more kind of bandwidth, I think as well that kind of changes that decision as well. But we want to make sure that we can look after the users that we've got, and we don't want to stretch ourselves too thinly.
So two kind of part question, I guess, relative to your ideal user now. One, I guess on the Web3 side, is it just like a pure thing, or are you doing like NFT gating or anything like that? And then I think like just to broader creator community, is there an ideal creator profile, I guess, like that you're thinking about, like, you know, like if you were prioritizing your wait list or encouraging people to get on it, like who are the kinds of names that you like, I think would be the best fit sort of early on?
Yeah, so I think in terms of so we have got NFT gating and pay gating for Stripe. At the moment, you can create a feed on the platform, but you would have to apply to us to have that feature. We would turn that feature on for your community. So that it's not a feature that you can you kind of create yourself in the app. So you create a feed, and then you can ask us to kind of to gate it via an NFT or pay gate it. I think in terms of creators, I think video creators, I think we have a mission really to bring the Snapchat and TikTok kind of generation into Web3. I think we are a video first platform. We have a range of new creative tools that we are bringing into the space as well. We think that element of open platforms that kind of TikTok is, for example, we kind of having an element of how you can have a more closer kind of connection with those people, but also allowing everyone to talk to each other. We think there's some real power in that. So we've got a kind of number of different discussions with some great video creators. They're natural, and obviously that kind of Gen Z kind of demographic as well is really exciting for how they and their community would use the camera. So I think there's two aspects to it. There's one, the Web3 and the kind of token offering that we've got is a natural fit for the kind of more crypto-led communities, and they would really see the kind of value in that token offering that we have in terms of ownership. And then there's the kind of more video-based mainstream communities maybe need a little bit of kind of education on that value, but they would see the value in kind of the video base. So I think that's kind of our route in terms of kind of stepping stones to kind of get to that spot.
One thing that you mentioned about Snapchat, and I know this is an analogy you guys metaphor you brought up, but Snapchat is ephemeral video. Are you guys supporting? Is video ephemeral on your feed, or are they more permanent?
It's not at the moment, but it's something that we have been having discussions with users during testing, and I think it's such a big decision. That will be something I think we will make in the kind of coming months. I think with users, we wanted a bigger pool of users to make that decision. I think it was such a big decision for us to kind of go that route. We have the ability to kind of test it out. We're even thinking of, could there be an aspect of in our camera, we trialed an aspect where the user can kind of make that decision, but then it all starts having the actual upload process starts to be too complex. You've got 500 buttons that are being asked to press before you kind of put it in. So I think it's a decision that we've tested and we've tried, but I think it's one that we want a slightly bigger pot of users to kind of ask that question to before we can't make it.
So the Snapchat comparison is not 100% apt.
No,
it's just of behavior.
Yeah, the video messaging aspect I think is more that kind of and the way I think Snapchat has some amazing. It is very video first in terms of the communication aspect of it, and it is back and forth conversations where less obviously there is that aspect of pushing content out to a wider audience, but it still is used massively a lot as a messaging platform.
I was going to say,
I wanted to go back to, so when you're talking about your I guess the product roadmap for URFeed, in terms of who you're going after, and to Greg's question about like who your ideal demographic and everything like that is, I know you're going after, you're attracting video creators and the crypto space, because they're very used to Web3, NFTs, tokens, all those type of things, right? I'm curious though, how a lot of the stuff that you've talked about today is like, how do you make it easy for anybody to onboard to this? And I guess the root of my earlier question is about like, how's your feed doing, is how are you appealing, or how are you convincing traditional Web 2 folks? Those are like, hey, I'm still on the Facebook side, I'm still on the Instagram. Like, I don't understand the NFTs, I don't understand crypto, blockchain, or any of that. I've heard of it, I just don't know what it is. It's awfully confusing to like, I have to set up a wallet here. Like, I just want to be able to log in and do it.
Yeah,
how is it making it easy for them to participate?
Yeah, so I think the real big driver around that is the community aspect, is that many to many aspect. I think the lot of, obviously, kind of, I ran an agency and I was running those communities out that because they didn't have the time. So I think, and it is content led. It is that 1%. It is one to many, and it is very, very appealing to a music artist that they create a space, they can fire start that space, they can be part of it, but they are bringing their people together, similar to like a gig. People are going there to hear that music, but they're going there to meet other people. And our space is like that. So it takes some of the pressure off those type of creators. And then I just think the kind of people that already kind of get that kind of more many to many space, and they've already get that, they see the added benefit of kind of video and how that can connect. But yeah, that's very much, and it's not, I don't think anything's an either or. I think they're kind of, yeah, years ago it was more like, oh, is everyone going to leave there to go there? And that's just not how people work now. I think it's a melting point. It's all to do with time. Is someone going to give us some time in their day? And I think video is eating everything. So I think we are video first. If you're going to connect with people, would you rather have a smaller group, highly connected, in a video room than a mass text room? And I don't think you would stop doing one or the other, but you would definitely give some time to that. And I think that's kind of where we see it. And also there's elements around, obviously, some of the artists that we speak to kind of see it as like Cameo at scale. They haven't got the time to do that, and it was a kind of something that we hadn't really thought about in terms of using that analogy. But having 100 of their people, and they're able to talk to 100 of them at once in that video room, but they all feel like they're being spoken to. There's some aspects around that we've been really told about the product rather than us really thinking of it like that. But I think the main thing for most people that we speak to is the fact that it's not all on them for this to work. They just need to create the space. They need to be part of it. They need to let people know it's their space. But it's actually giving the 9% within their community the space to start becoming stars. And that's quite a powerful driver for them.
And I think also with like, obviously the Web3 aspect of it in terms of spreading that message is a newer thing, right? But if you think about somebody who is let's say, a Snapchat user, and you say, look, you like using this experience, would you like to use one where you can start to earn ownership in it? And that's a pretty convincing statement. If you like that medium, and if you like to use it in that format, then, it's about spreading the message, obviously, and that's an organic process, but we feel that's pretty compelling.
And I think to that point, when an artist comes on or a video creator comes on to the platform, they're going to get given an ownership, and it's going to be bigger than their community because they're going to be pulling people into the platform. But they're actually going to own something alongside their audience, and that is a really powerful. In terms of the way that I said that connects, it's going to connect all users on the platform, but it's going to connect them with their fan base in a different way. And some of the kind of people that we've had during testing, that's been a really kind of interesting kind of dynamic when we discussed that with them in terms of how powerful that would be, that you're pulling people on, and if this community becomes really engaged, it's going to be like a great thing to do together. And as I said, that aspect of doing things together and collectively being part of something is a very, very powerful thing. And I think even more so for kind of the kind of Gen Z, the younger, in terms of the world that work kind of growing up, we see the real kind of gold, I think, going forward is some of the kind of DAOs and these kind of things built around the cause, us being a great space if the kind of, when we're out there in the open, if people are looking for a platform to bring people together around something and connect, and we want kind of URFeed to be one of the first kind of names that they think of when they're thinking about putting something like that together.
So who owns, like, are you talking about with like, you mentioned ownership many times, but there's different audiences at play here, right? I mean, it's like you have your creators and then you have the fans, right? So you know, I as the creator, what do I own? I'm obviously getting the surf token, right? So what would I get do I own the data from that community? And as a fan, what am I paying to do that? And where are you getting your cut from the whole collective, or just from the creator? Like, how does that break down?
So the way that the kind of and it's not our cut, it's the community's cut. So it is everyone who uses the platform. It is the community treasury. It's their cut. It's the community contribution. So 10% of all revenue on the platform. So if you're charging $10 for subscription, 10% of that would go back to the community, of which you own. You are part of that community. So and we also give you tokens in terms of ownership, which kind of deflects away from the fact that you've just given away 10% in cash to the community. So they're the 10% of revenue, and we've got different avenues for how that revenue will be generated, but 10% of the revenue generated on the platform and in profit of secondary token sales will go back to the community, and then the community owns that, of which to then decide how that will be spent. I think very much we are along the process around in the kind of early instance, as we progressively decentralize, we want that community treasury to be focused around how can we help everyone on the platform to win. So we think there's some aspects around, there's great communities that don't make money, that don't. So we want our platform to be a tool to promote and help those communities. There's amazing people that do great stuff in terms of helping to manage and making sure communities flourish. We want that community treasury to go that. So I think it's making sure, it's understanding that the whole thing only works when it works for everyone. So we all win together. So it has to help everyone, and there being a really healthy kind of ecosystem within the platform, then it'll really work. And understanding that there has to be, everyone has to kind of give into that for it to work really well. And I think there's a lot of power in that, in terms of your community is really helped by this other community. And there's some interesting aspects around kind of the streaming, and it's what a lot of music artists don't understand around music streaming, where there is obviously a variable amount of streams every month and a fixed amount of money. And if you release your single in the same month that Adele releases hers, you're going to get less of that pot. So lots of the smaller artists are there. So we have that two different dynamics around. Your community can earn a revenue from the great stuff that you're doing, but also that revenue, some of that will go to the collective good of the whole platform, which I think is powerful in terms of bringing everyone together as a wider collective.
Okay, cool. And since we're about running out of time, is there anything else that you want to say about URFeed? Obviously you're accepting people on the wait list right now, and as you mentioned earlier, Gareth, that you're going to open that up soon. Is there any other information?
So if you go to URFeed XYZ, .xyz, then the waitlist is there open. We just haven't started pushing it. But also, if you are if the owner of a community, a creator, a DAO, we have a pioneer community program where we can give you additional support and some additional ownership tokens for coming on board and working with us early on. So we'd be really interested to talk to anyone. Please reach out to us. But yeah, ultimately, if you sign up, you'll get a first kind kind of glance and view at me giving you kind of an overview of the platform that we've built. Hopefully I don't ramble on too long. And but yeah, it's a first look, and you'll get first access to the platform as we start to push it out. So and we'd just love to hear feedback from anyone. I think it's only going to be as good as kind of the feedback that we get from people. I think the people that have used it to date have been amazing. They're helping us shape where we've got to already.
And I just want to say WAWT. WAWT.
But it's and we're always if you have any questions in real time that you want to or feedback about URFeed, join us on Tuesdays for Created Works, where Abhinav will be joining and will be co-hosting alongside with Greg and a couple of our other friends, and you can just pester him with questions, just totally hijack the conversation. It's just like, hey, Abhinav, I have this question, like, why is that?
What we should do is we should go through the white paper, actually, on one of these episodes, because it's an important part of the process, I think, for startups who are thinking about pursuing this path. I know I've never written one. And
I must admit, I wish we hadn't, because I think that sometimes at 2 a.m, me and Abs are like, oh my God, like, I'm bleeding from my eyes. This is too much.
Like a term paper in college or something.
Well, I will say the one you have written is very approachable, because I've read some other ones that are full of complete nonsense. And
I must admit, Abs has to take all the credit for kind of putting that together. I think that. But
we should schedule an episode for the future. I know we're booked up, I think, for the show all the way through March, I think. But yeah, it'd be good to do, because I think it's an important part of the process ultimately, and obviously we'd love to give you guys more exposure and what you're thinking about, and that'll give you another month or so of users and onboarding and stuff like that to learn from. So
yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah, let's
to really dissect that white paper and memorize it, be able to spit it out by memory, and without having to look down and Google things.
And Abhinav, in case you don't know, is absolutely required that you own the Rode Pod mic to be on the show. So we expect to see your studio upgraded.
Not sponsored.
I love it.
Gareth, if you see any incidental charges on the company card, just
Wait, we get a company card? What is this?
All right, sorry. It's actually Ken's card, but don't tell me.
Oh, and with that, I gotta go return some stuff.
I was listening to this book, by the way, about Malcolm Gladwell book, and called Talking to Strangers. And there's a whole section that's all about alcohol and how people can have blackouts. And he said one of the most common activities actually when people black out is actually shopping on Amazon and not realizing that they bought all this stuff and then arriving later. Wow. So because apparently you are fully functional when you black out, you just don't remember anything that happened.
There's probably a line item somewhere on some kind of Excel for I remember a comedian saying you should kind of cut off your bank card for purchases between kind of 12:30 and 6 in the morning.
Right.
I've never paid bills. I've never paid for anything that is a serious thing in my life.
And you have to leave the pub.
Your bank account, you just press a button like a do not disturb. It's like, okay, don't do this.
Don't let me do it, man.
No. We are saving you from having to call us. Relax. We know, because at some point you'll be like, Ken. Oh, Ken? Yeah, all right. Hold on. You don't have to say anything. We know. Okay, don't worry about it. Done. Stop calling us. Stop drinking. Okay, got it.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well, thank you, guys. We do appreciate it.
Yes.
Great conversation. And look, like I said, excited about what you're making. Obviously, we're fans, we're supporters, we're friends of the company. But at the same time, I think I'm just reading Victor's comment. Yeah, maybe I blacked out once or twice. Who knows?
I don't know what you're talking about,
The worst
Victor.
thing you can do is start a show with your best friends, either in the show or in the audience, right? This is what you get. This is what you get. You make your own.
Yeah.
But thanks, gents. A pleasure to have you. And
really enjoyed it.
Good luck and best with it.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Oh wait, I think I'm trying. Ken and I are both trying to do it at the same time.
Hands off. Go ahead.
I was trying to put this back. Yeah, tune in next Wednesday. By the way, we will. Oh yeah, Ken, I think you may be on your own for this one for sure, but we'll see.
Wait, you're not. No, Friday. Well, okay, so let's talk about Friday is our new show, Created Briefs. Join us 8 a.m. Pacific this Friday. A lot of great news. Plus, we'll have a special guest, Dimitri Shapiro from Koji.
Oh, Dimitri is coming. Okay, great.
Yes.
I will be there on Friday for this show. Actually,
yes. They got some really great news, and plus, there's a whole lot of news relating to like the creator economy, such as beefs with creator funds, and obviously Solana and NFTs all over the place. So
and then this next Wednesday, which I hope I'll be able to make, we're going to be interviewing Joe will be on this. Joe Fernandez, former founder of Clout, and Joy Mode will be on, and hopefully he'll be sharing some of what he's working on next. And then, of course, Marina, we were lucky to be able to reschedule for the week after that. So looking forward to it. With that, we will say goodbye until Friday. See you all. Have a great one. Bye, everybody.
See you.